This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV. It's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
It's time for basketball, and Uber Eats is dropping deals on game day favorites to keep you locked in on the action. Like when you're craving a buzzer beater, but also buffalo wings. Or when an upset makes you want to ugly cry into a pizza. And right now, Uber Eats has game day deals from Burger King, Buffalo Wild Wings, KFC, and hundreds more local favorites. So you can keep your eyes on the ball and your hands on a burger. Order now, only on Uber Eats. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
You're listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers, episode 319, Not a View Watcher. Welcome to the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers, the number one place to get your animation fix with animation addicts just like you. Each episode, we dive into the wonderful world of animation featuring Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, and everything in between. From hilarious discussions and movie reviews to interviews with industry insiders, this show's mission is to brighten your day through our love of animation. So hop on your nerdy couch, grab some snacks, and get ready to hang out with your animation besties because it's time to dive into today's episode.
Hey there, Animation Addicts. I'm Morgan Stradling.
And I'm Chelsea Robson.
Okay, are we going to have good luck or bad luck today? That is the question, because clearly it's not in our control.
There's nothing in our control. It's all randomized. Sucks to be you.
This is going to be a fun one. Last episode, we talked all about Skydance Animation. Where are they? Who are they? Where did they come from? It's really important to understand because this is their first feature-length film. So definitely go back and check that episode out, rotoscopers.com/318. And this episode, we are going to dive into the Land of Luck, which is an interesting concept. So I think there's a lot here.
There is a lot here. There's a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, and a lot of things that we're just going to go through.
A lot of things. So grab your 4-leaf clover, get your lucky penny, hop on your magical rainbow. Let's go to the Land of Luck.
Clorox Sentiva smells like grapefruit. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like...
Okay, we could be here all day. Try Clorox Sentiva for a trusted clean with long-lasting freshness. Also available in lavender and coconut. Use as directed.
Support comes from ServiceNow. We're for people doing the creative work they actually want to do. That's why this ad was written and read by a real person and not AI. You know what people don't want to do? Boring, busy work. Now with AI agents built into the ServiceNow platform, you can automate millions of repetitive tasks in every corner of your business, IT, HR, and more, so your people can focus on the work that they want to do. That's putting AI agents to work for people. It's your turn. Visit ServiceNow.com.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
All right, before we get started, let's talk about all the things. General information about this. The production studio, Skydance Animation. The distributor, Apple TV Plus. Director, Peggy Holmes. Release date, August 5th, 2022. Budget, $140 million plus, because, not quite so sure. And there was no box office for this because it was not released in theaters. It was exclusive to Apple TV Plus and still remains to this day exclusive to Apple TV Plus. Which is one of the reasons why it took me so darn long to see this. I remember when it came out, I think we had the opportunity to get a screener for it, but I just wasn't able to do so at the time.
Yeah, the 20s were a hard time.
The 2020, yeah.
2020 to like 2023 was just like, ugh,
a big blur. Yeah. Seems like a decade ago, but it was only 2 years ago. Yeah.
It really does.
So this one, it was always on my radar. It was like, do I want to see this one? Maybe. But the thing was, with the trailers, like my initial thoughts is that the trailers and the concept never drew me in. I never saw the movie poster and thought, I have to see that. It's like a girl with it's raining on her and then the black cat and it says luck. And so you're kind of like put the pieces together. But I'm like, and it's green. Mm-hmm. It never had that draw. I was like, that sounds so cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of subpar imagery on the cover art. It really doesn't evoke very many, if any, emotions at all. So it's just kind of like, okay, I don't know what that is. So I also have wanted to see this, just knowing that it is from Skydance and knowing the storied history, not storied, but like, the drama, quote unquote, just, the amount of activity that is happening at Skydance that we hear about for people that are like inside baseball stuff. So yeah, for that reason, I wanted to see it. But looking at it, I would not have said, I need to see that. There's no piqued interest. So that was definitely they definitely could have gotten better with that.
Yeah. And there's just this barrier. It's like, do I want to sign up for a service that I already have a bunch? Why do I want to sign up for another one just to check this one out? That was a big deal. So anyway, all that aside, we did see the movie. Hooray, hooray.
Huzzah.
We did it. So let's talk about luck. So we start off and it is definitely this girl has a backstory.
She has, oh my gosh. And at first I'm thinking, okay, I have never seen a backstory of this kind in animation. She has, so she is in foster system, or
former orphanage, but they don't really call it that.
It's an orphanage kind of situation, and she never got to have a weekend visit with a family to find her, quote, forever family, unquote. And which I mean, here's the thing, like, that the foster system, all of these things need help in the United States, everywhere. Like, these are things that absolutely need to be covered. They absolutely need to be made aware of. But it was just kind of weird the way they brought it in. And it was just kind of like creating so much of a backstory that I don't think really paid off the way they wanted it to later on. And I don't know. They made her seem like the most the unluckiest girl that has ever been, because every time that she was supposed to have some kind of a meeting with a possible family, it just fell through. Something happened, and then it goes back and no, now I'm in my room again. And now she is aging out of the system. She's getting her own apartment, and they're just kind of dropping her off and like, hey, good luck.
We don't get funds for you anymore. Goodbye.
Right. And so you'll keep your apartment as long as you do these things. So now she's all alone again. And she also, she does have a very upbeat and pleasant attitude and pleasant personality. So you do want to root for her. But again, it's like, I feel like the story pacing of it was just really long. And it took a long time to like figure out what is happening and where the inciting moment is. I feel like the inciting moment should be within the first 2 to 3 minutes. And this went on for like 5 or 6.
Yeah. And it's interesting because like, what is her drive? And ultimately it's because she wants to get the lucky penny for her
somebody
friend.
Else. Yes.
For somebody else. Hazel. And that's really altruistic and that's beautiful. But I feel like it was not as strong because of that. And that's sad because when everything should be about others. But it seemed like she was our main character, so we should have cared about her.
Right.
More. And I think of another orphan that we know from Disney, and we think of Penny from The Rescuers. And you just think of those opening scenes, and there's just quiet moments where she's sitting on her bed. She's sad. Rufus comes up.
Aww.
She pets him. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they give you moments to think and to pause and to really absorb what's happening to the character. Whereas this, they talk the entire time.
So much talking.
There is not a quiet moment ever. So you don't get a moment to just like sit and reflect on a situation and to absorb it. And like we jump, like, oh, like it's almost comical, it is comical, all the bad things that happen to her, where it's because it's so comical and funny, the depth of like her situation, which is terrible, doesn't really hit you the way that you need it to. She needed a Penny moment where she sits on her bed. Maybe they did, but it was so like go that I didn't absorb it as much. But like she needs to we need a moment where she's down and she just wallows. Like she's so optimistic and that's great, but we need to at least see some tears from this girl.
Yeah.
Did she cry at all?
No. And that's a hard thing because I don't know, do they want to not let girls cry? Like, is that a thing nowadays?
I feel like that might be a thing in modern movies. Like women can't cry. You can't show emotion. You got to be tough and strong. And so we're going to show this tough lady.
I cannot tell you how many tears I have cried. And I think it is so much better when you do.
Right.
So a little bit about myself. My mom passed away recently. And there was a moment we were talking with the funeral director, and he was very not adamant, but like very encouraging as far as like saying that, you know, a lot of times it's very difficult to open yourself up to the grief. And however, the moment you get into the heavy crying, like the deep cry, that's when your body automatically releases the endorphins. And so you're not ever going to get to the endorphin part until you actually get to the actual grief part. And I think that is, I feel like that should be a bigger message around, because it's so hard nowadays for, especially like there is a tendency in media to make it so women are not supposed, like, are seen as weak because they cry. But it's like, I mean, one good thing about my family is very crier. Like, we all cry. So like all my brothers, everybody's like, we're just bawling the entire time, obviously. But even we would cry in movies. Like all of my brothers are all like deep criers in movies, and they're like, blah. And they all married women who are just like, why are you crying during this? But it's so beautiful. But I'm saying, like, there's to be able to show that that crying is safe as opposed to crying as a weakness, I think is something that is not developed a lot. And so that I'm just going to go ahead and say that there is a need in that way. So
we needed a moment. We needed a moment where the door was closed. She turned 18. We needed to maybe like see the birthday candle. She turned 18 and the door was closed. She, at least in this environment, was never going to be adopted. And she needed to mourn that. She needed to grieve that so we could feel sad for her and really...
I mean, but that wasn't the story. And that was the problem with this movie, is it had the weirdest story.
Yeah.
And the whole premise was just luck. Like, our whole life is just based on luck. And I think that is probably the worst part about this, is the reason why this movie really didn't hit home for me and was just like kind of it just went on and on. Like, again, we talked about there's just so much talking. But I think one of the main things is when you deal with how there is no choice in the matter, there is no they're trying to deal with the age-old question of why do bad things happen to good people, and just throwing it out there as it's random. And in many ways, I agree with that. But however, I feel like there is in story, what makes a story work is for the character to be able to take what they're given and be able to use all of their own things to take themselves out of their situation based on their own choices and based on their own initiative. And that was the problem with this movie, is it just kind of made you feel like, I mean, I don't know, skipping to the very end, the final scene is, it all worked out for the best because now I have my cat and now I can I can help do this other girl's
family.
I can make my own family. I mean, all of these things are very important and all of these things are good to dive into. But when you're coming at it from the secular point of view of basically it's just luck, like there is no choice in the matter. You're dealing so much with victimhood, and I mean, I think it tried to make you not a victim because, hey, if all of these bad things didn't happen, then we wouldn't be able to get to the good things. But at the same time, you're going back against the whole fact that there's a randomizer.
Yes.
So it just didn't make sense. It didn't have any way for a character to be able to take things into their own hands and just say, no, this is how I'm going to make the best of this situation because I have a choice.
The moral and message was, hey, you can see the glass half empty or you can see it half full, because these things are going to happen either way, which I guess that's true. But because of luck and bad luck, it just gave the impression that you're not in control of your life and your decisions or your future. And it just happens, and I do agree that there are bad situations that happen to people. But the more inspiring message is that, hey, no matter where you are in life, you can pull yourselves up by your bootstraps and it might be difficult. It may take years. It may take decades, but you can change your future and you can pull yourself out of it. And I didn't get that much at all. It seems like she was going to have bad luck with her for the rest of her life. I mean, couldn't they just bestow like a little sprinkling of good luck dust on her for everything that she had done to help them? Luck coin, yes, like you're blessed, finally, you helped us. But I was like, nope, it is the way it is. And it felt very much like victim, like what can you do about it? Sorry.
Yeah, and
I don't love that attitude. I don't think that's an inspiring message that makes me want to let it go and watch this movie again, but talk about it with other people. And like a lot other great movies make you think and make you ponder. And then even if it is just an animated movie, right? Just as it's not just an animated movie, you know what I mean? Even if it's just a kid's movie or whatever.
If the intended audience is for kids, like that's
fine. But if it leaves you with something else, something more that you can then go and take, that's the true, ascension of a movie. And this just didn't have that to me, which was a bummer because again, this is like, John Lasseter's first big thing that he had done. And, this is the director of this. We talked about it in our last film, but we did mention her, is that her name is Peggy Holmes. And she previously had directed Secret of the Wings and The Pirate Fairy for Lasseter under Disney Toon Studios. And so he had good success with her as a director and felt comfortable having her in this. And I don't think this is Peggy's fault at all. I also think this is a matter of like this movie had already been greenlit. It was in production to some sort of extent, had to be rewritten, had to be redirected. How much could they have done to steer the ship and change? It seems like this concept of there being this Monsters Incorporated like factory world that like creates the luck or creates the screams and the energy, the laughs, that must have been so solidified that they couldn't deviate from it, because I thought that whole portion where they were in this land of luck, that it was really boring. It was there were clever moments like, oh, look at this door that has this lucky thing, or here's this and pothole, oh, that's funny, whatever it was.
Well, there's just so much world building. And I had to be like, something had to be explained every moment. And there wasn't like a thing that I could just be like, oh yeah, I have an instant understanding of the situation. And it was just like, oh, well, now we have to, and that's why there was so much talking. It was just like, I have to explain every bit of this story for it to make sense. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. The world building itself was not, there's a problem when people are like, when a writer comes in and is just so excited about the world that they are building that they just focus on that and they forget about the character. They forget about the actual inside of the character. Because of the world, no matter what story you build, it should be able to work in whatever world you're in. Like those, the things, the inciting message, these thoughts, the character progression should be as human and as relatable as if there was no additional world. It was just something. The additional world is just something to be added upon. And that was a problem. It was just like they spent a lot of time trying to develop this world. And to the point where I was just like, who's the story about again?
Yeah.
What is the story about again?
Well, I think they got overly excited about all the different aspects of luck. And if you, type in, luck into, Wikipedia or whatnot, you're going to get just a whole laundry list of things that are associated with luck. And, right here, it says signs of good luck, signs of bad luck. And, you have the 4-leaf clover, we have the black cat, we have the lucky penny, we have the Chinese kitten and all of these different things. And it's like, how can we stuff the horseshoe? Yes. The 5-pointed barn star. And how many of these things can we plug in to our movie? And it feels a little bit like Inside Out, where it's like all the brain things and all these stream of thought, stream of consciousness, and the headquarters, how many puns and funny things can we get in here to make this win and make this funny and make this, unique. But it was just too much. I felt like it would have been better served, like Monsters Incorporated, where they focused on one aspect of okay, this is an energy plant, and here's the one way that we do it. Simplify. I think would have been, because then we have the unicorn, and I guess dragons are lucky. I didn't look into that, but it must be, because why else would a dragon be the main character? And then the roots, the bad luck roots, where I'm like, okay, what? I'm gonna have to research this after the fact. And
that's not.
You don't want to be like that in a movie. Where I know this is supposed to be something, and what is it? Okay, I get it now. You don't want that, and I think because then the world felt really weird. Because then there's leprechauns with unicorns and cats and dinosaurs, not dinosaurs, but dragons. I'm like, what's going on in this world?
Yes. Yeah. I think that, at the very end, one of the main themes that they tried to push in was just that bad luck can be good because it can make you resourceful. So they're at the lucky shot point, and I completely agree with that. But once again, they're trying to pull this thing that I agree with of, yes, it can make you resourceful, but it's in the very last 5 minutes of the movie. And it took so long to get there. And also it didn't really make her change inside, because I felt like still the rules of the world didn't make sense because you're telling us, okay, it can make you resourceful, but it's still bad luck. It's still there. And okay, yeah, I agree ish. I don't know. There was just a lot of things that felt like they were just trying to make it work. There's that. I just remember this commercial growing up where you have these two little boys we'll make it fit, and they have the circle trying to go in, or the square going into the round hole, and they're trying to pound it down, and oh my gosh, I just feel like that it's square peg round hole. They're just trying to make it a thing, and they're really wanting to make this a really fun, fancy movie with a lot of fun glitter and everything, but it just doesn't drive a character. Could they have added the element of making your own luck? That's a question that I feel like they could have gone into. But the fact that it was just made on this lucky, the fact that it was just made based on this alternate world where luck is just distributed, it just means that it's hard to, it's a randomizer. Sucks to be you. So just deal with it. And some people get all the luck. Some people get all the good luck, and bad luck sticks to you. And I feel like there's there's the phrase of luck is just when preparedness meets opportunity. And like they could have gone into that. Like they could have used some things like that. But there was just so much that I felt like it was just based on a concept that really doesn't make sense and really isn't true. So there's that. Also, I had a problem. I'm sorry. This is just me being
false doctrine. This movie is
like, and I'm not even saying this. I mean, it is a worldview. I can't get around that. Like, it is a worldview to say on one side that you have innate decision-making ability and an ability to guide yourself through your own life. Yes, there's some things that we don't have any control over whatsoever, and we are.
But you're meant to control what you can control.
Yeah, like, and you do the best with what you have. Like,
right.
that is always going to be true. But it's all like, okay, it is a mindset also for people to be like, it's just my luck. And it's just such a cop-out, I think. But anyway, also the thing that bugged me is the music in this was not great. Like you had the one point where she tried at the very beginning, it's like, you might be my lucky star. And so she's coming out and she's one thing, like the singer they got was excellent. Excellent job. I really enjoyed the production. I enjoyed the whole thing, but it was like, it made no sense. Like, this is the one moment I don't know. It was just a weird opening for her and Hazel to come in and be like, we're making our own little music video to this song. And then to bring it back. Oh, she's got this song that she's going to get everybody's attention and bunnies like to dance.
Yeah.
Like, what? But then
that was something.
The score was just not, it was just so, it felt like a Christmas movie. Like there were a lot of moments and motifs that I was like, this feels like some Christmas movie that I can't put my finger on right now. And then at the very ending, like the ending credit song was just like, what was that? It just felt so empty. Like there was just not a lot to really make me feel like this was, I don't know. It was,
talking about the score, it was done by John Debney, who actually has an illustrious career. Since the 80s, he started, he did Hocus Pocus, Little Giants. He's Runaway Brain, which is a short Disney film. Liar. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Polly, Inspector Gadget. He actually does a lot of these like kid movies. The Emperor's New Groove, Spy Kids, Cats and Dogs, The Princess Diaries. So it's like, geez. I feel like he's like the hot chick, Bruce Almighty, Elf. That's where you're getting it from. The Passion of the Christ, Spider-Man 2. I mean, this guy, like, The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl in 3D.
Wow,
love that one. And this guy, his Zathura, Barnyard, Spider-Man 3, Evan Almighty. I mean, he goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. Trying to find any recent ones that he has done. A lot of kids movies, SpongeBob movies, Sponge Out of Water. Like, this is a guy that you go if you just want like a decent score and you are totally fine with it. He has a lot of Hocus Pocus 2. He went back to Hocus Pocus 2 the same year as Luck. Doing it, Spy Kids Armageddon, which came out 2023. He did
the Garfield movie.
The Garfield movie. Nice. And then tons of Dragon's Lair. He did Dragon's Lair. There was a TV series for Dragon's Lair. I didn't know that. I thought it was just anyway. This guy is busy still to this day. He does a lot.
I mean, no hate on you, dude. I just felt like I was like, this just seems empty.
Yes, he's spanned all sorts of genres, and so that's interesting. You noticed that. You are the music girl, after all.
I was just like, what is this? Yeah. So anyway, let's go through some of the points that we thought that could have been better, or thoughts through this whole thing. I've talked a lot. So Morgan, let's see.
It's fair. Fair is fair because I talked so much in the last episode.
That
it
was
was
true.
90% Morgan.
You did steal the microphone on that.
But that does happen on these. Like, let's go back and read the Snow White from every iteration ever. Let's talk about it. And Morgan's research time. So yeah, it happens. But okay, so let's go back and just talk about the main character, Sam Greenfield. She's this unlucky girl. Everything bad happens to her. She was voiced by Ava Noblezada, who her parents are Filipino and Mexican. And I thought it was so funny because she has a very appealing voice.
Yeah.
But I could not get it out of my head that she sounds exactly like the Barbie in the Barbie Dreamhouse series on Netflix. Like, go check just a clip out after the fact and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's Barbie. And because in that movie, Barbie's just kind of like Barbie. There's not a lot there, which is not in a bad way, but she's just positive. She talks very bubbly.
Yes.
And this, likewise, she had that feeling where there wasn't a lot of depth to her performance because, one, she had so many lines, she just had to get through them all. Like, okay, Ava, we have 10 minutes to get through this. Just say all the lines and just go, you know. But yeah, she was just like this chipper, despite everything happening to her. It's just overly chipper, very positive person. And that was fine. And the voice was just off to me slightly. And maybe that was the Barbie association. I just kind of felt like, this is Barbie talking the whole time. And she didn't do the voice of Barbie.
No.
Not that I could tell. So, yeah. And then Hazel, you know, Hazel's this character who we're supposed to care for. And I'm trying to think of other movies like, you know, where there's like a sick child and they have to get the medicine for the sick child.
Timmy.
Timmy, yeah. Or what's Timmy from? Oh my gosh.
That's from Secret of Nim.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. Secret of Nim or Balto, where there's this other person who we're supposed to care about and the person is careless. Not careless.
Being cared for.
Selfless.
Oh, yeah.
And because of their selfless actions, like, oh, we love both of these characters so much. And both of that was lacking. I didn't necessarily care about Sam and feel her being this altruistic, amazing person, which she was. I just didn't buy it. And then the same thing with Hazel. She's, I mean, will it happen? We'll see, you know, but she really wanted to make it happen, which is noble and admirable. But at the end of the day, it just, I felt like I needed to care a little bit more about Sam. Yeah. And what the person I really did enjoy was Bob, who had the Scottish accent, which I loved. And I just thought that was so funny. And I just love accents. Yeah. I really loved the unicorn with the German accent. I'm like, sign me up for more accents. These are hilarious. And I love them.
Yes. Yeah, no, I felt like Bob was a great character. I liked his accent. I was actually mad that he went to a British guy because he lost all of his personality. Like,
yes, it's true.
He just became the standard Brit, like that you hear on some like like a
BBC documentary.
Yes.
Or, you know,
like just some voiceover thing. And I'm like, I liked the other one better. And it was just like, why did you have to change to Scott? Like I don't understand. Maybe just because he was like, oh, I decided that in Scotland, they actually are lucky. So I'm just going to take on a new persona now that I have a lucky penny. Like, it was kind of weird. Oh, Bob. He just like the captain always hated him for why nobody and
did you like Whoopi Goldberg as the captain?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I felt it was off.
And
also, Whoopi has a great voice and she's done a lot of stuff, but in this particular role, it was. At first, I thought it was a man. To be honest, because her voice is so deep.
Yeah,
and I'm like, wait, no, I know that she's not wait, listen. Ah, yes, it's Whoopi Goldberg. That's okay. So
you don't watch The View much, do you?
Not enough to have her ingrained into my skull. No,
but I mean, neither do I. But I mean, the point is, like,
Chelsea had to clarify, not a View watcher.
I mean, neither. But anyway, so I felt like you never really understood why you're supposed to, like, why she was supposed to, it was correct in, why was Whoopi, or why was the captain correct in not trusting Bob? Like, and even, I never really felt like Bob was even a character that you had to dislike. Like, it was.
I never disliked him. He was there and he had his own motives, you know, he didn't really appreciate that, you know, she had taken that or lost the penny. And I thought he was probably the best out of the whole movie, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yes. I liked Jerry too. Jerry was cool. The leprechaun who shared all of his stuff. He was just this happy guy.
I liked those little leprechauns. I thought it was funny that they had convinced that she was this Latvian.
So when I was in Germany over the summer, I met this girl who is a lovely lady, very, very, very cute, and she was from Latvia. And like, the fact is, the Latvians have had a rough go the last couple generations, because it's like, you look at our childhood and it's a very different world from how Latvia was in the last couple, last 30 years, because she grew up in like a communist area. And so they're like just getting out of that. And it's just like, you do not even understand the world until you've traveled a little bit and met people. But yeah, so she was from Latvia, though. She's just like, yeah, I'm from Latvia. And she married a German guy. So they were living in Munich. And I was just like, oh my gosh. This is shout out to her. So
there's elements of this movie I like, example, like we talked about, when she's this tall leprechaun and has to figure out her way and kind of be sleuthy and secretive and a spy and navigate, get through. I like Bob. I like Sam well enough.
Yes.
Like, I think she is very pleasant. A very pleasant demeanor. And I like that she's positive.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there were moments, like we should talk, this will be the third time me coming back to this, like we needed more to her to really make me care for her, and like what is her driving, force. And you think of the classic hero's journey, you think of Luke Skywalker and his aunt and uncle are killed, and he's standing there on the hill, he's looking at the burned corpses, and he like has that moment where he's just looking off into the two setting suns, and you really get to feel it, right?
Yeah.
And all of these great things, like something bad happens to them, and she did have this thing, you have aged out.
Yeah.
And another character that we recently have talked about aging out of the orphanage is Anastasia, and she likewise is an incredibly positive person. She has a little rough around the edges because of her life, and maybe that's what's missing. Maybe she didn't have enough, like it wasn't realistic that you just weren't you
didn't have enough tenacity.
You needed something to polish,
Yeah, yes.
You're too perfect.
Yes, and I think that is the biggest thing. Is as you were talking, I was realizing one of the key parts in character development is the fact that in the beginning of the story, they have a misbelief. They have a belief about the world, about themselves, that is not true. And it is through the story that they go through that they're able to change that. And okay, they tried to do that at the end, saying like, hey, all of these things made my life what it is. Okay, but it was like, it still wasn't good enough. It wasn't strong enough.
Yeah. Yes. So, it's interesting because we're looking at this. Oh, also shout out to John Ratzenberger.
Hey, shout out. Yeah.
And it was just funny that, I thought it was clever because he is considered Pixar's Lucky Charm.
Yes.
And this movie's all about luck. And so did they consciously bring John over to be the Lucky Charm for Skydance? Will he be in future roles? Clearly, John Lasseter loves the guy. And he has such, he has one of these voices that's so unique and fun and different. And that's what I love in animated films, where someone just has this like unique voice that you're not going to hear on the street, just the way they grew up, or maybe a country or something that just makes you go, ooh, it tickles your fancy a little bit. And that's John Ratzenberger, even though at this point he's almost become overdone, where it's like, oh, it's him. And you cannot unhear him.
But we haven't heard him in a long time. And so for me, it was pleasant. I was like, oh, that guy, John Ratzenberger. Yeah. And I felt like as he came in as a voice of reason, kind of like the point in time when everything tips and you see both sides of the story, you see both sides of luck and the good parts of bad luck. I felt like that was well played.
Yeah. So going back to this, I wouldn't say this is John Lasseter's film. And it's not fair. I just think it's interesting. Sometimes we'll talk, the producer is who we talk about when it's coming to a film, and less so the director. And sometimes it's so much more we're talking about the director, and we don't even talk about the producer.
Right.
Like, for example, The Wild Robot. I had the potential opportunity to interview some people involved and one of the producers, and I just was like, I don't know this person at all. To me, it was all about Chris Sanders, who was not provided as an opportunity to be interviewed. So, but it was just interesting. So it's just sometimes the director is really the one that you feel is like the driving force, and other times it's like, no, the producer was the one who was the grand architect. And we had so many different people involved. For example, the initial team that was creatively involved with this, then the post Lasseter team that was involved, and the new people and the switching and the substitutions and whatnot, and the story had already existed. So it's hard to pin this on one person. It's more just Skydance as a whole, as I see it at this point. And that's not because I'm trying to be a John Lasseter,
fangirl.
Sycophant. Yeah, I see this as like coming in. It's kind of like the Meet the Robinsons of it all. Like John Lasseter came in with the middle of Meet the Robinsons. American Dog was a thing, and that was actually a Chris Sanders production, and John didn't like it and he axed it. And I'm just curious why this one didn't get axed, but I don't think he had the ability to because of all the contracts. I feel like if he this would have been cut or totally changed, which I don't think he was really allowed to do because it just wasn't a good movie at the end of the day. It just doesn't feel up to par. It feels like your hands were tied and you had to do the best with what you could to get it out the door. Everything going out forward, I'm still hopeful. And I'm really hopeful for Spellbound. And so that's what hopefully our next episode is going to be on. I'm in talks to getting us a screener for that. And I'm actually very, very excited because we have more time. We have more people involved. We have Alan Menken. We have Glenn Slater. It's going to be great. So I'm getting ahead of myself. That's for next episode. Be sure to subscribe. But what would you rate this movie?
Oh, I honestly, it was so long. There was one point in time where I looked just to see where we were at, and like we had barely gotten into things, but I felt like should have been a little bit further along, and I still had 52 minutes left, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then later on, I look at it, I'm like, there's still 26 minutes left. Oh no. So I mean,
no.
Yes, I felt
so
like there was so much about this that there was so much talking. It felt long, and it didn't really feel like I got into it. There were a lot of potentially good things about this, and I feel like had they been able to shift it around a little bit more, maybe to Doctrine that I believe, but I feel like just even taking those moments of making this more about choice versus it sucks to be you kind of thing. It just felt very 2 stars.
2. Oh, all right. One concept we didn't really talk much about is the concept of like luck versus being blessed.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing. Some people say, like, for example, I just got my baby out of his crib and put him in front of Mickey so we could finish the last little part of this episode. And he had a blanket and he was snuggling with it. I said, oh, you're so lucky. But it's like lucky. Like there's no luck. That's not a thing. He wasn't lucky because I handed him his blanket and he snuggled his blanket. It was like, oh, I meant it in like a positive, like blessed sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so that's for another day, but that's something to mull over and think about, these different ways that we use the phrase luck. This one was simply as in a random chance and something that can either be compounded, good luck versus bad luck. There were a lot of really interesting concepts with this movie. And they just didn't seal the deal. They didn't score the touchdown with this one. And I thought it looked generally fine. There was nothing to write home about. The characters had the standard Pixar look to them, which kind of has become ubiquitous with just animation in general. The big eyes. I liked Sam well enough, but I really needed a little dagger in the heart sort of moment to just make me feel. I needed a tear. I needed something to humanize her.
Yes.
Because of the terrible situation that she was in, and like we've talked about, it's okay to cry. It's okay to show that emotion. It's actually very healthy. Not necessarily you have to do it every single time, but I felt it would have been very well served to have her show that emotion from the very beginning. Pick herself, you think of Mulan, this terrible thing has happened with her family. She fails the matchmaker. Her dad's now going to war. Like everything is crushing around her. She's literally in the rain, crying. And then she has an idea and picks herself up and off we go. And we love her for that, right? So, yeah, I'm going to give this... 2 to 2.5 stars. That's my very non-committal answer. I don't know. It's 2 stars is fine. It was fine. And I need more. I need more than fine. So
yeah,
there you have it.
There you go.
Let us know your thoughts about this movie, Luck. How do you feel about not Pixar? How do you feel about Skydance Animation's freshman effort? Luck. Was it? Did good luck bestow upon it? Or did they have bad luck with this one? Let us know in the comments, rotoscopers.com/313. And this is gearing up for our next episode. Be sure to subscribe because we are going to be reviewing Spellbound, and we are excited to do so. I don't know anything about it. I haven't seen a trailer for it. I just know that it's called Spellbound and it has Alan Menken. But I'm excited. I don't know. So I guess I need to watch a trailer and see. I'm imagining it's something to do with magic. But there we go. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. And until next time, we are the Rotoscopers.
You've been listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to help spread the word, be sure to share the podcast with your friends on social media. Just don't forget to tag us at Rotoscopers on Instagram and use the hashtag Animation Addicts. For all the links and full show notes for this episode, go to rotoscopers.com/podcast. Now, if you still can't get enough for your animation fix, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and visit rotoscopers.com for more animation news, reviews, and interviews. Thanks for listening.